All right, the first thing I'm going to teach you is the fact you should be practicing in practice map. Now, a really good one is Xerox Practice Map V3 Aim Edit Piece, and this is how you would find it. You would simply scroll down to where it says Discover, and you just type in Xerox. Press Enter, and it pops up. You could also type in the number of the map. Let me switch screens real quick. Okay, and you can also just type in the number of the map like that, and that would take you again to this map right here. So you click on that map, select, and this by default will be on public. So you'd go over here and switch it from public to private. Alrighty. So once you load up in here, you can fill your inventory with some weapons and stuff. You can create your own. You can go from blue sky to dark sky. I like blue skies. I forget where you go to build your own playlist where all these maps or all these different courses get loaded up on a custom playlist right here. Just click on that. Okay, anyhow, forget about that. I'm just saying you can create a custom playlist. Let's take a look at some of the things you can do. You go get XP there. I do that afterwards. Go to aim. So you step on aim, and you can shoot at these guys right here. But I would suggest going to shotgun dodge mode. This is probably the best practice right here. You just aim at these targets and shoot them. You just do this. Now, here's something you might have noticed. I got no crosshairs on. If you go to your gear, it'll be right here. Reticle. I have mine turned off. And I would advise you give this a try when you're practicing. You turn your crosshairs off and you just kind of sense where the middle of your screen is. And at first, when you're shooting these targets, you want to go nice and slow. It's all about accuracy. And when you do this for a few minutes, you'll find that you just instinctively start getting faster and faster and faster until you're just kind of jumping to these things really fast. Oops, missed that one. But yeah, and you just keep trying to jump to each one nice and quick. Like I said, you want to warm up by doing it nice and slow. And after a few minutes, you will get faster and faster. Unconsciously, you'll just start doing it faster. And you can always step back and do this at a distance. Try standing to the right and getting these things hit. And standing to the left. I only want to go so far. I want to make sure you can see that wall right there. Try doing that from the left. And so after standing in the middle, standing back, left, right, just getting a feel of the target at various distances and angles, what you'd want to do is you want to start doing this in motion. You start walking back and forth and hitting these targets like this. And then you might want to start putting some jumps into it. Like a sprint jump. That sprint jump will throw you off. Because you put away your shotgun and it's like you put away your shotgun and then you pull it out every time you do a sprint jump, and that will mess with your mind. Yeah, I need to practice that a little bit. But just regular jumping, that's easier. I say that and then I miss. There we go. Yep. You just got to learn where the center of screen is. Just hopping around, moving around. So you just do that for a while. And believe it or not, that will actually really, really help improve your aim. It's probably the best one of these courses to do to improve your aim. Another one you want to do is shotgun bounce. You just shoot these guys before they hit the ground. This is a different kind of aiming because you're tracking where the person's going. You're not just jumping to them, you're tracking them. Whereas the targets that we were shooting at were stationary. So this trains your brain to get used to following people with your crosshairs, or basically just keeping them center of screen. And it also gives you, like, I one time got 67 in a row without missing. Another good one is Shotgun 360. Now these guys are jumping and bouncing around. You can stand up here. You can stand anywhere. Something I like doing is bouncing like that. Like I jump and like kick off the wall. And this will teach you how to spin around really fast, like when they appear behind you. Now, of course, you got these little XP things you can grab. Grab some XP there. You shoot these guys, you get some XP. And you can also practice swapping weapons right here. You got a little guy over here. He's fun to play with. You try moving around on this cone in an awkward way while he does the same thing. And this will also really help improve your aim. And so, yeah, there's multiple aim things you can select here. I just go with those ones right there. You start with the shotgun dodge mode. That's probably the best one. Do the shotgun bounce for a little bit. Do the shotgun 360. Mess around with those guys a little bit. And you might want to do that like at least 15 minutes before you start a game. And this is always fun. You can practice your sniping here too. Oh, fired too soon. Fired too low. Yeah, sniping is, there's a certain art to sniping. So let's go back to Hub. Now I will show you how to do some building. Actually, before we move on to building, I want to teach you about shockwaves, loadout philosophy, and right-hand peek. Okay, I'm going to show you the stereotypical Fortnite loadout. It's going to consist of a shotgun, followed by a spray weapon. This could be an SMG or a pistol, anything that fires really fast and has a very fast pullout time. And pullout time refers to how long does it take to put away a weapon and pull out the other one. That's your pullout time. And so after your spray weapon would be an AR or a sniper, just something for very long range. Because typically your spray weapon ain't going to have long range. Then you'd want heals and mobility. Let me show you why you want to have a spray weapon to follow up with your shotgun. So when you shoot this guy, you can spray him, swap back the pump like that. And that's a lot better than trying to go pow, pow, pow. It's so much faster when you just you hit him with the pump, spray him, and swap back the pump. Now sometimes you might want to modify this. For example, you might want to get rid of your spray weapon and do like that and carry double heals. Or in some cases, you might want to do away with the double heals and have double mobility like this. Also, if you're playing builds and somebody puts up a wall, it's a lot easier to shoot through with a spray weapon like this than an AR. I think this ought to be a pretty good example. Oh, wait, I can't break these walls in creative. Never mind. The point is, though, if you shoot with an AR, it's kind of slow. But if you shoot with this, that tends to destroy walls a lot faster. It's just, there's no damage. Yeah, there's no damage in this particular creative map. Now, we were talking about distance. You said you don't know what 5 meters is. Okay, this is 5 meters. It's the size of one of these squares. And the reason this creative map has a grid with 5-meter squares is because that's exactly the size of builds. That's a perfect 5 meters by 5 meters. This is also true when you put up things like a ramp. This is going to be 5 meters tall, 5 meters wide, and 5 meters long. So it's also, it's all 5 by 5. And the same is true with walls. They're all going to be 5 meters high. That way you get to form a perfect little cube. Now, I want to teach you about right-hand peek. Notice how my crosshairs are in the center of the screen, but I am standing to the left of my crosshairs. You always want to take cover and peek to your right. It's called right shoulder peek. Let me show you why. If I open this door, okay, I can shoot him right here. He can't see me. I wish I could swap the camera around to his point of view, but he can't see me. He might be able to see my elbow. See how my elbow kind of sticks out from the door frame a little bit? He might get to see my elbow, but I can shoot him and he wouldn't be able to shoot me. Another thing you can do is you can how can I say this? There's a phenomenon known as desync. Maybe you've heard of that playing other shooter games. But what happens is when you're in motion, a person sees you slightly behind where you actually are. For example, when I jump out in front of him like that, it takes like an eighth of a second for him to see me. I mean, this doesn't count because that's a computer, not an actual player. So if you do a peek, you want to pop out, shoot, and pop back in real quick like that. I mean, I could have done it way better than that. And this is why you don't want to do left-hand peek. Because, again, your crosshair is right there at the center of the screen. And so when I step in front of him, he can shoot me. My whole body is visible, but look where my crosshairs are. If I pull the trigger, I'm going to shoot the wall. So I have to get in front of him like this to shoot him. Now, something you ought to get in the habit of doing is playing in these creative maps or creating your own creative map like I did. Like this whole creative map, I created this years ago to practice builds. Anyhow, what you want to do, what you want to be able to do is master shockwaves. Shockwaves are a staple of Fortnite. I hope they never go away. They've been in almost every season since I started playing back in 2022. So yeah, they've been here for a long time. Okay, let's do this right here. I'm gonna mark where I'm standing, and I'm gonna throw down a shockwave and move forward. We'll see how far it takes me. 43 meters. Let's try this again. I'm gonna mark my waypoint, and now I'm going to sprint and jump after I throw the shockwave. Let's see how far that takes me. 53 meters. So you get a little extra distance out of it. And of course, there's always sliding once you land. So you can get considerable distance. Okay, now something else I want to tell you about shock waves. When you throw a shock wave down, do you see how it's being held in my right hand? When I throw it on the ground, I'm going to throw it slightly to my right. So when it sends me flying, it's not going to send me flying straight. It's going to send me flying a little bit in that direction. Let me show you. I'm going to throw this down and walk forward. See how it knocked me almost an entire tile space over? Knocks you a little bit to your left. So here's what you want to do. If you want to go forward, when you throw the shock wave down, you want to step to your right. So you keep moving forward and then step to your right just a little bit. Oh, stepped a little too much. There we go. That's straighter. You can also do it straight up in the air. If you just need to get height on somebody. Okay, so when you get in one of these creative maps, what you want to do is maybe practice jumping straight up. So I'm going to throw the shockwave down, move forward slightly, and slightly to my right. And that should send me straight up. There we go. That's pretty straight up. Look at that. Nice and straight. So practice doing things like that. Otherwise, if you just throw a shockwave down and walk around, it'll smack you in all kinds of crazy directions. So it is good to get in one of these one of these creative maps that gives you like infinite shockwaves and just play around with them and get used to how they move you. Something else you can do with shockwaves. Okay, something else you can do with shockwaves is you can break through structures. Now, let's just say this is zero build and this right here is a building. You're inside of a building and there's a guy on the roof. You know he's up there somewhere, and you can get up on the roof like this. And then shoot him. Pow! So that's how you would get up on the roof. Something else you can do is you can blow yourself through a wall. well, this is more of a builds thing. Like, let's say there's a building right there or someone's box. Either way, you want to get in there. You could try shooting through it, but the other option is you can just do this and then shoot them in the back of the head. One more thing is you can move people with shock waves. So not only can you move yourself around, but you can take that guy, let's say he's an enemy player, you can knock him right into storm like that. Now he's dying to storm. And as he's trying to run back into zone, you can just start taking some shots at him. It'd help if my guns were loaded. And he's going to have a hard time fighting back. Why? Because near end game, when the storm zone is very small and you just knock him in a storm, he's taking a ton of damage and he's panicking. And when he tries to run back into zone, you pretty much have free shots on him. Something else you can do, and I would show you if I had more shockwaves. Okay, so I restarted my creative map. I got more shockwaves. Something else you can do is you can shockwave up and then shockwave somebody beneath you. Like this. That's sometimes useful if somebody's up on, if someone's got height on you, you can shock up and then throw a shockwave down to knock them off the top of the mountain or something. Now you have high ground. I'm not saying you should always try to do things like that. I'm just saying there are so many uses for shockwaves. Now you'd be wise to get inside of a creative map like this and practice your shockwaves. I'm going to bounce from here to right over there. Keep in mind when you're in midair, you can control where you go. Otherwise, I would have overshot that. And so that's why you need to practice. I'm going to try to land right about there. And I failed spectacularly. I need to practice more, don't I? That thing I said a moment ago bears repeating. When you shockwave into the air, you can control, to some degree, what direction you are moving in by pressing in that direction. So you do have a little bit of control while in midair. Okay, something else I want to talk about is, and we touched on this earlier, whether you have a shotgun, SMG, AR loadout, or whether it's just shotgun and AR and you're not carrying an SMG, pistol, or any kind of spray weapon. Let me help you make that decision. Take, for example, the pump. Let's see how fast this thing fires. That's as fast as it can fire. So once you shoot someone, you'd want to swap to something that can spray. Now that's an AR that I used. I wouldn't carry an SMG if I had that shotgun and that AR. And the reason is, look how fast this AR shoots. That's almost as fast as a machine gun. But if the only other AR I had was the Enforcer, which fires this fast, which isn't too slow, but that's not too fast either, this is a bad combination. A slow pump, switching to a slow AR, I mean, it works on that guy right there because I'm hitting all my shots. But it's not wise to try to swap between weapons like that. It's much better if you've got a fast weapon you can swap to spray. Now, if you have to use a very slow-firing AR, it's better to go with an auto shotty, which fires this fast. That way, when you switch to this right here, you can use this for distance. You can shoot people at a long range. I mean, it'd help if I had crosshairs on. Can I hit him without crosshairs? Yes, I can. There we go. The point is, if you have a slow AR like this, you'd want to carry a fast shotgun like that. Because when you shoot somebody, there's no need to swap over to your weapon. Just fire again and again and again. So, really and truly, if you've got a fast AR, go ahead and go with a pump shotgun. If you're carrying an auto shotgun, you can use a slower AR. The combination you simply do not want is slow pump shotgun and slow AR. That's the one combination you want to avoid. So if you have to carry a very powerful pump and a slow AR, that's when you'd want that SMG to fill in that space. Another way of looking at loadout is you don't want to carry redundant weapons. What I mean is, let's take a look at this loadout I got right now. Okay, this is a pump shotgun. This is for close damage only. You're not going to hit somebody from distance. This right here, well, that you can shoot somebody at medium distance with that. Let's give that a try. Yeah, at medium distance like this, it's fine. But trying to shoot somebody at, let's say, that distance over there, it is very hard to aim that thing. So this is not a long distance weapon. But this is more of a long distance weapon. And the Enforcer AR would be just a little bit better at long distance. Of course, without crosshairs, you really can't tell that. But honestly, the, what do you call it? Okay, so the Fury Assault Rifle and the Enforcer AR, there's no reason to carry both of those in your inventory at the same time is what I'm getting at. The reason is, we can argue, yeah, but you know, that one has a little bit better range on it. Yeah, but that's still a long range weapon. We have short range weapon, medium range weapon, long range weapon. Well, this is, what, an ever so slightly longer range weapon? That doesn't justify it. Even this setup wouldn't be recommended. You go with a shotgun for close distance, something like the Fury AR. I think this is my favorite AR of all time. That's a good medium range weapon, and we can argue that this right here is a much better long range weapon. Let's swap between them. Let's take a look at what the Fury does. Let's try shooting that guy back there. Now we can switch to our what is it called? The MK. This is much better at range. Worse at recoil. My point is, even this is kind of pointless because that AR is still going to be your ranged weapon. And if you say, yeah, but I really like the distance that the MK gives me. Well, in that case, you might as well get rid of the Fury and have something like a pistol. Because a pistol is faster firing, and it has a quicker pullout time. So this would be a better combination than trying to carry the Fury, which just becomes redundant. And I say this because I see so many people carrying redundant weapons. Like, dude, why are you carrying 2 ARs? That makes no sense. Why are you carrying 2 SMGs? Why are you carrying 2 shotguns? So think about weapons think about weapons like this. It's all about range. Short range, medium range, long range. That's how you should think of your weapons. And like I said, sometimes you can take your medium range weapon and say, fuck it, we're going shotgun and AR. And then, like I said, you can double up on your heals or double up on your mobility, and that works fine too. Although when all is said and done, for beginners, if you're not confident with your aim and your accuracy, honestly, go with an auto shotty or a spammy shotgun, whatever you want to call it, because you can miss and just keep firing with this thing, and you don't have to worry about swapping back and forth weapons, which can be complicated if you're new to the game and you're in a panic. Just staying on the same weapon and shooting over and over again is preferable to having to switch back and forth, which takes too much skill when you're panicking because you're new to the game. So, and the reason I say auto shotty or spammy shotgun is every season tends to have the same thing. You have a hard-hitting pump, and then you've got a fast auto shotty that does less damage, but it shoots faster and you don't have to swap. Practically every single season that I've ever played has had that combination. Hard-hitting pump, spammy shotgun. Which one do you go with? So for new players or people who are not comfortable with aiming, I say stick with the whatever spammy shotgun the season gives you. Another thing, remember earlier when I told you can go right there to get XP, but I like to wait till the end? You walk in here, you can just jump on this right here. Look at all the XP you can get. Just sit back and relax. Eventually, it will stop collecting XP because these creative maps are only allowed to give you a certain amount of XP over a certain amount of time. Got quite a few points there, didn't I? And I could always just get back there and do that again in maybe another 5 or 10 minutes. It'll let me collect another 40 or 50,000. I'm going to put up on screen several different practice maps and their map number. These maps offer different courses to train different skills. Some you may like better than others. Also, a couple of recommended YouTube channels to learn from. Evolve Jake and Toby Wan Shinobi. Jake and Toby both specialize in zero builds and live stream on Twitch. Jake's YouTube channel delivers daily or near daily videos talking about the newest changes, best weapon loadouts, and other tips. Toby is a better teacher. His YouTube videos are more carefully crafted and feel like a teacher's lesson plan. His streams are more humorous and charismatic. Jake's YouTube videos are informative and very up to date on the latest news. His live streams are serious and professional. His personality is, well, he's the Terminator, a machine. He doesn't have personality, unless you consider condescending wit and arrogance to be personality. Admittedly, his condescending wit does grow on you. But his skill at the game is phenomenal. I once seen him stream for 4 hours, and he never lost a match. It was non-stop crown wins, and he wasn't even excited about it. He was nonchalant, like, yeah, that's just another Tuesday for me. Both content creators are small enough to interact with on stream and have unique attributes worth learning from and tuning into. And now, let's learn how to build. All right, so we went through aim. Let's go through the free build. Now, free build gives you an opportunity to start building things. So I'm not going to tell you what keys to hit because I've changed all my keybinds around from the default. But the first thing I'm going to teach you is how to do ramps. I'm going to place a ramp right here. So for me, I click C for ramp. And if you want to get out of your builds menu, you can just swap to a weapon. If you use your scroll wheel, you'll start scrolling through different pieces. I would recommend never changing your piece by scrolling. Anyhow, as I was saying, if you're stuck with, on builds and you need to get back to a weapon, press the hotkey. For example, number 2 is going to be my AR. So there, I pull out my AR. I'm no longer placing down builds. When I want to go back to my building, I just place a building key. For example, for me, it's going to be C for ramp. It's going to be X for a floor, Alt for a cone, and Tab for a wall. Anyhow, now that we got that out of the way, let's go back to our ramp lesson. I'm sorry, I've never taught anybody how to build before, so I'm just kind of just doing this off the top of my head. Anyhow, you place down a ramp, and when you get to the top, you don't have to hit your ramp button again. You're by default still on ramp because you haven't changed anything else. So you place a ramp, walk to the top, place a ramp. But what you can do is simply hold down your fire button, which is how you place builds. Hold down your fire button and just walk forward. It will automatically place a ramp for you. And something else you can do, I want to do this near the bottom of a ramp. Where the hell's the bottom of the ramp? Oh, it's right here. If you look down and you hold down your place ramp button, which is fire button, you can just walk to the side and it will continue to place a ramp under your feet. And in the same way it keeps building a ramp when you walk forward, you can do the same thing in reverse. Let's go over here. And there we go. I caught myself. I'm just going to hold down my place ramp button while looking completely down and walk backward. And it will continue to put a ramp in front of me so that I don't fall. And you can also do this with floor spaces or floor pieces. You can just hold a floor piece. And that way, if you're above somebody, you just hold the camera in front of you. And you can just keep placing that. You can do the same thing with cones. You can now walk on top of cones. So anyhow, let's go back to our ramp lesson. The most basic thing is to simply build a ramp. But I warn you to not build more than 3 ramps high. And the reason is, if somebody shoots out your ramp, if you fall 3 places or 3 spaces, you won't get hurt. But if you go up 4 ramps high and somebody shoots out your ramp, you will take damage. And I think it's either 5 or 6 ramps high is basically guaranteed death. So as long as you're not higher than 3 ramps high, you'll be okay when you get shot down. Just keep that in mind. So now that you know about ramps, I would suggest reinforcing ramps. The way you do that is you place down a ramp and then you place a floor behind it, like that. Then you place a wall behind that. You do it again. Ramp, and I'm gonna hold down my fire button the whole time. I'm gonna look down, and then I'm gonna place a floor and a wall. And I'm gonna switch back to ramp, and I'm not letting off my fire button. And you can do that really fast like this. That way I'm moving forward without stopping, and I'm building a ramp, a floor, and a wall. That took me so long to learn. I thought when I first learned how to build, I thought I would never be able to get that so fluid, but here I am doing it. And eventually you can do it without even jerking your camera up and down. You can just kind of, yeah, like that. So that would be like step 2, is learn how to do that. Then we'll move on to something a little bit more difficult. Placing a cone and then a floor above you and editing through it. Ramp, cone, floor, edit, edit, ramp, cone, floor, edit, edit. And you'll want to do this if you're trying to get height on somebody and they're trying to shoot down on you. Like if you're walking up a ramp and there is someone above you shooting down at you, placing that in front of you protects you. And then every time you step through it, just build a cone and a floor for protection. You can just keep doing that. And yeah, so that would be the second thing to practice. But you start nice and slow. Ramp, cone, floor, walk up to it, edit, edit, and repeat. Now, something that you should do is, because you're a beginner, I would recommend doing what I have it on now, and that is, hold on, let me find my controls, my keybinds. Let me just say it. You'll want to turn Simple Edit on. As soon as I can find Simple Edit, I'll show you where that is. Okay, I found it. Right here on this tab, you've got Building, Simple Build. Turn that off. I absolutely recommend you do not use Simple Build. You will definitely want to keep Turbo Building on. Turbo Building is what allows you to hold down your fire button and just press whatever piece you want to bring up, and it automatically places it for you. Turbo Building is a must, so keep that on. Here it is right here. So right below Turbo Editing, you have, Turbo Building, you've got Editing. Simple Edit on. I have on Tap to Simple Edit. I've just read the description and I still don't understand it. I have it on, so I recommend you turn it on. But the point is you want to have Simple Editing on. Otherwise, you'd have to manually edit it, and that's what this would look like. Let's go ahead and turn Simple Edit off. That brings up more options. Let's just go ahead and play with it for now because I forgot what this does. I've been using Simple Edit for so long. Okay, so now if you wanted to edit something, like we're going to place a cone, I would hold down my edit button, then I'd select a block, select that block. There we go. Select it like that. Yeah, that could, oh man, that's yeah, that's kind of difficult. I used to be somewhat good at that, but ever since Simple Edit, I have turned that off and I haven't looked back. But also keep in mind, I suck at building. No, really, I am not good at building whatsoever. But I've been practicing for a few years. Yeah, I'm getting the hang of it again. Oh, I got to place it first, then I can edit it. Yeah, that shit's confusing. That used to be the only way you could edit, and that's how I first learned. And I got kind of good at it. But then, once I went Simple Edit, I ain't turned back. Okay, next thing I want to teach you is how to do 90s. To do a 90, let's get out of here real quick. Let's just pretend we're on a flat ground. Okay, so we're on a flat ground. A 90 is going to be this. You're going to place a ramp, and then you're going to place a floor behind it, like not a floor, a wall. And when you go up the ramp, put a floor in front of it like that. Then turn, and remember to hold down your fire button. Turn like this. Look down. And here's where it gets complicated. I'm going to jump and place a floor, then a ramp after I jump, before I land, okay? Floor, ramp. There we go. I'm going to switch back to wall. There's a wall. Turn to the right, look down, and floor, ramp. And you do that over and over again. You get in the habit of it, you can do this without stopping. It takes a bit of practice, and then you can try doing it you can start doing it counterclockwise, like this. Then you can get good and start doing it like this. And 90s are a great way of getting height. And when you get height, here's a great way of getting down. I haven't done this in so long, I am going to fuck up. This is called waterfalling. The idea is when you walk up to a ledge, you want to pull out your wall like this, and well, you want to jump off the edge while placing walls and then catch yourself with a floor or a ramp. Let me show you what that looks like. There we go. As I fell, I hold down my wall button to place those walls. And then I caught myself with a floor. Remember, you can fall 3 tile spaces before taking damage. I fell 2 and then placed a floor. Let's try this again. There we go. Fell another 2 and caught myself. Just practice this over and over again. 1, 2, 3. There we go. I mean, I wouldn't take any fall damage in this anyhow because this creative map has no fall damage. But I'm just saying, in a real game, if you go more than 3 tiles down and catch yourself, you're taking fall damage. So you just do this. You practice this until it becomes like second nature, and I'm out of practice. And you can also do it faster. When I say faster, what I mean is once you fall down like this, you can edit out this block and do the same thing, putting down walls and then catching yourself. Wall and catch yourself. Yeah, I need to practice this so bad. You can get down really fast like that. Post edit me. Here's something I cannot believe I forgot to mention. There is actually an easier way to get down. It's not just waterfalling. Though waterfalling is the fastest way to get down. Here's what you can do. You can pull out your blueprint for a ramp, and before you place it, if you hit your rotate button, which is R for me, and I think that is going to be default on everybody's, you can rotate the ramp like that. Then you walk up to the edge of something, and you can place the ramp down. And it stays down like that. You can just keep walking down like this. And then you would want to see where your blueprint is. You just hold down and press R to turn it back the right way. And you can do that with all pieces, I'm pretty sure. Let me put this up here. Let me hit R. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. But yeah, you can rotate your walls. And you can rotate cones too, I think. Again, I don't know what that does. The only piece you should ever rotate is a ramp. I don't know why the option to rotate any other piece exists. But anyhow, I thought I'd let you know that you can just, pull out your blueprint, hit R, and that will start rotating it. Something else I realized is when I was teaching all those lessons, I had my crosshairs off, so you can't, like right now you can see where it's red, I can't place anything. But now it's white, so I can. So yeah, I should have had that on, to be honest, but I forgot. So when you're done playing around in the free build, you go back to hub, and I would go to aim. And there's another one I forgot about, because like I said, the shotgun dodge mode is good, shotgun bounce, shotgun 360, but edit and aim realistic. We'll give him 10 health points. And here, you get to peek shoot people, and this is a little bit more advanced, but I'm going to edit a window and shoot them through the window, and then reset. And reset. Whoops, hit the wrong button there. I'm going to try to jump up and edit it this way. Oh, see the middle of the screen, right above where it says edit and right below my health? Uh, Depending on what angle you look at a building piece, it will show you on Simple Edit what edit you're about to do if you click your edit button. Right there, it's showing me that I'm going to take off the top half if I click edit. And there we go, it took off the top half. And when I look right in the middle, you see an empty square in the middle, meaning you're going to put an empty square in the middle, a window, like that. When you look over here to the corner, you see that weird looking piece? Well, that's what it's going to turn into when you click edit. I just click my edit button again to reset it. And you got your left and right peanut butter slices, or peanut butter edits, they call it, where you can peek like that. You can peek to your right. In fact, let's practice that. Let's wait for him to get to the right and... Oh, he didn't go to the right. Come on. What you're trying to practice here is to take a quick peek at him, shoot, and edit. Also, I like to be in motion because of the whole desync issue. So if you edit, shoot while you're moving, it's really hard to hit. It's really hard for them to hit you back. Because by the time they see you, you're not technically there anymore. And every time I shoot, whether I hit or miss, I reset. And then you can practice stuff like, I think I can do like a edits, boom. Edit, boom. That's probably stupid. You can always do this. You can always practice up here of editing out this little space and shooting. Oops, I missed like an idiot. Yeah, this is something I should be practicing more. Remember, after every shot, to reset the edit. Now, this is probably going to take you a long time to be able to, do stuff like this, being able to edit, shoot, and reset. So you just practice nice and slow until you get the hang of it. And that's all there is to building. Well, no, that's a lie. That's not all there is to building. That is the very, very basics of the building mechanic. And I am no expert by any stretch of the imagination. Fortnite builds has got to be the hardest video game in the world to play. I'm not lying. Like, no game on Earth has a higher skill ceiling than Fortnite building. Another post edit here. Something I forgot to mention is when building ramps, you can do this. Place a ramp and place a wall like this. When you edit the wall, now when you select ramp, you can put one above you and in front of you, above you, in front of you, like this. What that does is it shields you from being shot from behind. And I do believe you can, while you're placing this, you can also do the thing where you reinforce the ramp, like this. It's a little bit hard though, because now I messed up with my ramps. So, probably wouldn't want to reinforce the ramp that you're walking up. If you're putting a ramp behind you, it might be a bit too much. Something I should be practicing. But yeah, that'll protect your back. And then you could always just flip one of those around like that. Now you can go in this direction. Also, in case I didn't cover this, if you want to take an entire structure down, what you can do is just shoot out the bottom base of it, like this. And then if I want to take that down, I just shoot this. So yeah, when shooting at somebody's building, their structure, just try to shoot the bottom out if it's not reinforced with a bunch of pieces. Because you have to have at least one piece touching the ground at all time, or everything above it just falls apart. Something else I want to mention is when you pull out a blueprint, like for a wall, you can change the material type. We can go from wood to brick. We can go from brick to metal. And if I hit my right mouse button again, we're back at wood. So I don't know what the default is, but for me, hitting right mouse button changes material type. I think that actually might be default. And the reason you might want to do that is because different building pieces have different amounts of health, meaning it's a little bit harder to destroy. Let's take this guy right here. You can see that green line up there that says 125 of 125. That's how much health a wooden piece has. And they get destroyed that easy. Now that one right there has 300 health. It's slightly damaged. Oh, you can actually repair. I hit H. I have never actually done that while playing, but it is a thing you can do. So that has 300 health. And the metal has 460. I thought it had 500, but it's 460. Okay, something else I want to mention. When you're in your build mode, I think it's build mode only. No, you can be in weapon mode. Notice when I move my crosshair over to this wall, how the wall kind of gets like a white outline. That white outline around the bricks and everything, when I touch it, that lets me know that's my wall or a wall from a teammate, meaning it's something that can be edited. When it's an enemy's wall, it will highlight red. Instead of all those white lines around all the bricks, you would see red lines. That's very helpful if you ever start box fighting and you're taking each other's walls. Like, you're taking this wall, and then he puts a wall in front of there, and then you're breaking his wall and replacing it with your own. If you ever get confused and go, wait a minute, is that my wall or his? Notice around all the edges how it's white. When I touch it, it turns white. So that's how you can tell whether it's your wall or your opponent's wall. Another thing I should have mentioned was when you place a wall like this and you want to box yourself in, the best way of doing this is you want to walk up to it, look down, and then just spin while holding down your place wall button. And that will form a perfect little box. Because if you're on a uneven ground and hills and stuff, and you hold out your wall like this, and then you spin around, yeah, it doesn't work so good. So what you want to do is you want to walk up to the wall you just placed, spin around while looking at the ground. Also, I don't know if I covered this, but to edit something, you would hit your what's it called? Your edit button, which for me is middle mouse button. That's what I have it set to. I don't think that's the default, but I just press down my middle mouse button, and that creates an edit. And you would hit your edit button to reset. Now that is dependent upon what settings you have, and let me see if I can find them real quick. I think this is the setting right here for simple edit. Just tap to simple edit. So when I want to reset something, I just click the edit and it automatically does that. But there are just so many edit and building options in the menu. So let's go over mine real quick. So in case something isn't working the way I said it works, you might find out like I forgot to mention a particular setting. Okay, here are my binds for building. And I don't have simple build on. And on this tab, we have simple build, reset, choice. There, that's all my building and editing options. I don't think there's anything else. So as long as you have it, so if something I say doesn't work, take a look at those settings I showed you and figure out what might be different on yours.